views and opinions of your boy Derek are those of the host and does not necessarily reflect that of the Nighthawk Network or the views and opinions of its associate members. Viewer and listening discretion is advised.
Hey, bitches.
And now, once again, from the iconic city of Baltimore, we bring you season 2 of Helena Hologram. Hey, bitches. Let's talk about it.
What's up? Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Hey Bitches Live. You know I'm your host, the one and only, the original Hey Bitches herself, often imitated, never duplicated. But tonight I'm excited because I have probably one of my favorite guests on the show. I call her my personal fashion guru, of course. So y'all can't take that from me. She was actually one of my instructors at B-Trip. Well, back then it wasn't called Baltimore City Community College. It was called Community College of Baltimore. That was way back in 1990. 1990 when I first started going, and this young lady has just inspired me. And I just make it a point to always do my best to give people their flowers while they're still here. The technical knowledge that I learned from being in this young lady's class is invaluable. I just sit back and I was just talking to her earlier, and I was like, oh my God, you have a lot of former students who are really, really, really doing their thing. I know that has to make you very proud. But ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Miss Sally DeMarco, my fashion guru, my fashion everything, whether it's white, black, blue, green, orange, purple, whether it's coming from FIG, whether it's coming from the Maryland Institute of Art or wherever, B-Triple-C, Stevenson. This young lady has been everywhere, and she's like a sponge when it comes down to fashion. So when I grow up, of course, I want to be just like her.
Oh.
This is Miss Sally DeMarco.
Hello.
Hi, Miss Sally.
Hi, well, I'm glad to be back, and it's always a pleasure to be with you, my former student.
Yes, well, I'm your former student, but I think we stay in touch now more than we did when I was in your class. But
I think so too. Yeah, we go through the magic of Facebook and Messenger and all that
and
good
technology.
stuff. Yeah, we didn't have that technology back then.
No, because you remember when I went to when I was going to Community College of Baltimore, the fashion department was basically downtown, and then they had that big building where you had the little walk over to. I think it was the math building or whatever.
There were two buildings with the bridge that connected them, and it was wonderful. That was in its heyday. Then they demolished that building and built a parking lot on it.
Yeah, it's a parking lot, but guess what? I was there before it was a parking lot, so honey, I can attest to.
Yeah, that was the good old days.
Right. Now, ladies and gentlemen, any fashion questions that you want to ask this young lady, please feel free, because the first question I want to ask, and I told her I was going to ask her, y'all get y'all pencils and papers ready, because get your pencils and papers ready. Then if you missed anything, you can always go back and watch the show on Facebook and YouTube tomorrow, later on tonight, or whenever. But get your pencils ready, because when she spit out this information, honey, it is going to be on point. And the first question I wanted to ask her is, name five must that a woman and a man, 5 things that a woman and man should always have. I'm getting my pen too. I just want to make
That's
I
okay.
just want to make sure I remember right. Five
Yeah.
things that a man and a woman should have in their closet.
Well, I'm going to
That's
give you
the,
my unisex list because it can be worn by both male and female. You
okay.
know, you can't do without that crisp button-up shirt. For women it's just a blouse, but for men it's known as an Oxford shirt. It's usually very slim fitting, and in the old days we tell you to always have a white shirt, but now anything solid pastel will do. We one thing we're doing is we're mixing and matching our colors really beautifully these days, and it's not like it used to be where you can't wear pink and pink. Guys can't wear pink and all that kind of stuff. So anyway, you need that crisp white shirt. A basic tee is a must for everybody, for ladies and men. Again, solid colors always work best. Um, if women, it's a nice little t-shirt, but for men, we call it a crew neck, or a polo type of shirt. A nice leather jacket is really another must, especially when the weather gets a little bit cooler. You can throw it on and update your look, and you can play it up, play it down. Um, so for women, it's a standard leather jacket. For men, we usually refer to it as a bomber leather jacket. Um, Now that we can't forget the little black dress, but I'm going to tell you
I knew
now.
you was. I knew you had to say that. I
I
said,
know,
look,
but
I was saying myself. If I
I know,
remember anything else, I
but
remember the little black dress.
I know, but nowadays it can be the little orange dress, the little purple dress, and the little any color dress, but just make it solid colors because then you can put a blazer with it, you can put a shawl or whatever. And the equivalent for the guys is, of course, a nice suit. And
Right.
usually we recommend the blue suit, but times have changed, so you can get a little jazzy with colors and all that. But usually, if it's a solid color, you can mix and match it with different ties and shirts and things like that. So those are some of the things that come to mind: the classic blazer, and then a sports coat for a man. Um, Jeans are, of course, a staple in everybody's wardrobe. You should have a couple of different weights of fabric and dyes, and also different looks of jeans too. The trench coat is another staple, so I'm going to give you more than five. And your nice tailor pants. You got to have a nice tailor pant, because that you can mix with the blazer. You can put it with the leather jacket. You can wear it with the tee. So those are some other things. And I know leggings are really big, but I don't think they really truly belong in the workforce unless
No.
unless you're in an active field or you're teaching gym or whatever.
Right. Right.
Yeah. So, but those are the kind of must-haves. If you have them in your wardrobe, you can, both guys and girls, like ladies and men, they can mix. You can mix and match all that and come up with hundreds of styles, and you don't have to run around and constantly buy new clothes.
Right. So that's the purpose of having that because
Right.
whenever I think of the little black dress, I always think of Tiffany's, the movie.
Right. The
You
movie
know.
Breakfast at Tiffany's.
Right.
Yeah. Right. But I know nowadays it can be a little any color dress. Um, and don't forget your mask. Nowadays now we have another staple to our wardrobe for both the guys and the men. Especially either if you're not vaccinated or if you're still a little bit cautious. Um, the mask has become like an accessory for us
Right.
now. So one a sort of must have right now. We don't know how long that'll last. I know it's kind of going away, but it hasn't totally gone away.
Do you think the but I know you know. Do you think that the wedding arena has advanced or has it fallen back as far as people's attire for weddings? Do you think weddings are
Uh,
more casual than they
well,
used to be?
yeah, I think that yes, especially with the pandemic. First of all, weddings are getting smaller, and we're not seeing those huge, big weddings. They're getting more intimate, and I think a little bit more casual. But that depends on the bride and groom. Some people
Right.
want a formal wedding, others don't. But from what talking to wedding planners, since my son's getting married, so we've been talking to wedding planners and things like that, is like that the weddings are become much more small scale, not quite as elaborate events, more intimate, more family oriented.
What I mean, one of the guests said yes. A basic solid color suit is the T. You put the flair in the accessories, tie, belt, shoes, hat, necklace.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Go ahead,
Mr.
Niche.
Taylor has a great point there. Yeah, you can do a lot. Now, you can be wearing the same suit or the same dress, but you can change it around with your jewelry, your accessories, your belts, scarves, sweaters, jackets. Yeah, he's got a great point there. Very good. Give him a
See,
applause.
my viewers learn they're very fashion forward. What do you think? How do you think the market is for plus size men and women? Because you remember back in the day, plus size women, everything they wore was polyester, and you
Oh,
know
it's.
they
I think it's much improved. Maybe the plus size industry, ladies and men, do not agree with me, but it's not like it used to be, where it was really
no.
boring. You know, we're seeing more plus sizes in different types of stores. Before, you had to go to Lane Bryant to get the larger sizes. Now, what I think is wonderful is that other stores are, just regular stores where everybody else shops, are incorporating all sorts of sizes, and things like that. So,
Because I think they realize that
well, it's
plus
a
size.
huge, it's a very large market, and it's a good market, and they do need stylish clothes. Face it, everybody does. I don't care if you're small or big or what or in between. It should be fashionable garments should be available to all. And even
Yeah,
I'm seeing it more also in your sewing patterns, where I know sometimes you could get large sizes and all, but we're also seeing where we're featuring plus size models, where years ago there was all the little skinny ones, which was not realistic. That's not the way people are. So I think it's changed. It's changed for the better. I'm not saying it's perfect. I'm sure there's a lot of improvement along the way and a lot of changes, but the fashion industry is catching up, that there is a market out there and they need to come up with some fashionable wear.
but see, the
Excuse me.
good thing about it is with the market, and but I learned this from you. I don't know why people look at me like I'm crazy, because whenever I go to a store and buy anything, I'm looking at the seams. I'm looking at people like, what is she? I'm like, girl, leave me alone. This is just something that and I just think that unfortunately, even in this day and time, a lot of people and you may disagree with me, but a lot of people want Gucci quality clothes, but they want to pay Gucci quality prices.
That's true, but I don't know if most people know what quality clothing looks like. I
Right,
mean, you
but
studied fashion design, so you can look at something and you can see that maybe the seams are not sewn properly, but the average person has not a clue.
right,
They don't know anything about fabrics. They just put it on. They mostly buy it, because of what it looks like on the hanger. It has hanger appeal to them, and they try it on and they think, oh, this is fantastic. And they take it home, don't even really know how to care for it.
right.
And they follow with the care labels and all that kind of stuff. But see, your fabrics because you study that. You also know, the construction of it. But again, most people do not know that. And it's the same thing. If I'm not a jewelry maker, so if I go buy a piece of jewelry, I really have no clue if it was. I mean, I can tell if it was made properly or not, but do I really know if it was made properly? I didn't study all that. So you have an advantage, but you also have a disadvantage because you're not going to buy everything that's out there because it's not made properly.
Right, right, right. Now,
So
this is a good question for you. What's your thoughts on men's fashion becoming more feminized in the cuts and styles, plus the fabric being used?
I kind of like that. I don't have a problem with it at all. I think if a man is very confident that he can pull it off. I don't, years ago we never saw pink on a guy. Now it's like, oh, I have friends that wear pink shirts and all that, and I just compliment them, pretty in pink. I don't have a problem with that. I think men should, experiment with different prints and whatever. It shouldn't be just reserved for the ladies. I say go for it.
All right, that's my niece from the hey niece. So what a good so okay now one thing I've always admired, and I always have to say this, I always have to give a shout out to some of my former instructors at BCCC,
Of course.
Miss Dreamer, Miss Hoare. Of course, one of my favorite was Mary Lou, of course.
Oh, and
Miss
you know what? I hired them all, so you can.
Yes, you did. So that's why I say I'm
And
shouting
I
out to
wouldn't have
her.
hired them if I knew they were lemons, but they were not lemons. They
No,
were
they no,
stars.
they weren't. But see, you hired most of them after they were already your students, right?
That's what I used to. One thing about Baltimore City Community College's fashion program is that I had older students. And when I was there, the average age was maybe in the 40s. And a lot of those, and some were as up in the 80s too. So a lot of the students that came into the program, and actually some of them had worked in the fashion industry because Baltimore was second to New York for a long time in the fashion industry. A lot of them had just sewn on their own for years, and then were retiring from careers, and this was something they always wanted to do, but they were discouraged to do it. So when I would be teaching, I would be watching the students, and when I would see a shining star in there that came into the classroom with a lot of outside experience in the industry, and knew their techniques and was building on what they already knew by learning the design end of it, I kind of zoomed in on them and I would hire them. And also, I like the fact that they came through the program. They were taught by me and by others, so they were passing on the techniques that I taught them on to others. So I very seldom went outside of the
Right.
student body after they graduated to really hire for people. Although I was open-minded about it, I did hire people, but I always looked for make sure that they had experience, that they had world experience or fashion experience in the industry. Of course, they had the proper degrees and all that, but that was important. And it also gave me a clue in how they related to the students, because you can be a fantastic teacher, but if you can't get the information to the students, if you don't know how to pass it on to the students, then it becomes a problem. So I would see often how they would interact, and what I would do is I would hire them first as technical people to be assistants to the teacher, and then when I saw that they were doing really well, I kind of graduated them and gave them a course to teach.
Yeah, you
So
had. I mean, you had a lot of and you had some students that was technical and now I know when I came to and y'all, it's the same college. I'm just going back. I always call this Community College of Baltimore. So y'all, excuse me, because when I came, I mean, I've sold it for years, but I came because I needed the technical aspects of it. You know what I'm saying? I need,
right.
I mean, I knew how to thread a needle, blah blah, but I came there because I needed some technical aspects that to make my clothes look more finished and more polished.
Well, the other thing I did is I made that program extremely technical, because
Yeah,
that's how you get
I'm a
jobs in
witness.
the
I
industry.
know.
All that crazy stuff that it's creative that some people design, but garments have to be wearable to sell. Those of us are not going to be wearing garments that are shredded and have horns and things coming out of them. I mean, it's creative, but I made the program realistic, because if you wanted a job in the industry, you had to know your technical. So I focused on flat pattern learning, teaching students how to make a decent pattern by either doing it on paper with measurements or doing it on a dress form by what's called draping. We focused on clothing construction. We taught the students on industrial machines, nothing
Yes.
on the home level. There were technical fashion drawing courses. We had computer aided pattern making, history of costume. Meredith Page
I
was
just
fantastic.
said one of my favorite teachers, man.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I love her so
Yeah,
much.
and I still keep in touch with them. I'm having lunch with Meredith tomorrow. I tell her you said hello. But
Um,
all of that, and textiles, students learned about the fabrics, how to work with them. We also took the students outside of the classroom. We had trips to New York. We brought in guest speakers. We had every year, when I was there anyway, I did a fashion design study tour to Europe. Now, it was open to anyone that could afford it, and unfortunately not everybody could afford it, but we actually did some wonderful trips to Europe and Morocco too, and they weren't
wow.
shopping trips. They were really fashion design trips. We sometimes would have classes in let's say a Parisian school or in an Italian school, or they went through the their factories, or we went through Trussardi in Italy, so I can go on and on. But I guess for over a period of 15 years, every year we would go overseas and spend a week really immersed in that particular country's design, what they
But
did.
that's so awesome. One I'm guessing I do too, Helena. I look at the stitching, the evenness of the seams, how the patterns are flowing, and if they line up, if the fabric is dry rotted, etc. And
Well,
even
does
if you got
Mr. Taylor have a fashion design background, or how did he get into all this? I mean, because it's great what he's doing.
yeah, he's a female illusionist like myself. So we
Oh,
gotta
okay.
yeah we gotta do things. Here's a good question. So why do you think Baltimore became such a hub for fashion?
Well, way back. Now that all ended in the 70s because we were a port city and the immigrants landed here, and the
Okay,
immigrants had sewing skills. So you had
right.
all the different immigrants, Jewish, Italian, Spanish, everybody. It was a port city. So we landed here in the industry. We also were close to New York. New York was number one. Maryland was next to New York for menswear design. Most of the menswear stuff was done here, but also a lot of uniforms, hat designing, and all that. But that all kind of went overseas in the 70s and it died. But it's really because it was a port city, and the immigrants flocked here when they in New York. If they landed in New York, we weren't that far off. So
Right. I think a lot of people never knew that, and I didn't know that until I started going, to BCCC, and you being on the show, enlightening us that Baltimore used to be a hub for
oh
fashion.
yeah.
It kind of blew my mind.
Pratt Street, Packer Street was all filled with factories that did menswear designing, and they did menswear. They did suits, menswear suits, and some lady stuff too, which would be shipped to stores and different places. But also every factory had a custom area where you could have a custom suit made for a lady, for a
Wow.
man, and all that. And they had designers, because I've worked in the industry before I started teaching. The design room was right in the factory. Nowadays the design room can be New York, but the factory making the goods can be in India. But in those days we were all there. I was right there in the factory, so if there were any problems in the sewing of a new garment, they could come and get the designer, who would go into the factory and figure out what was going on, what happened. The pattern maker was there, the cutter, all that was all in one space. Now it's all over the place. So
And you think that's basically because of the economics? Because I mean, they
right,
say it's cheaper, but
yeah.
they say it's cheaper, but I mean, you send it over there. I mean,
I don't
like,
know. Yeah, it is supposed to be cheaper. You can get things made overseas, but sometimes the samples come back not so good, so you have to send them back and they have to get redone. In the old days, I was right there in the factory. They would come and get me if there were any issues. They didn't have to go over, contact somebody. But
right.
it seems that's the way the industry is going, and that's progress. It's a 21st century, so.
Helena, do you have interest in teaching in the future? Well, we'll talk about. Don't start with me. We'll talk about that at a later date, honey. Okay. Let me see. I'm a fashion forward, and I love how the cuts and prints are
Explore.
exploratory for men. There are some designs that bring me pause sometimes as I'm seeing what I call extreme experimentation. Laugh out loud, and I'm gay. Ha ha ha.
Well, I have to laugh sometime too, because they and then in most design schools, unfortunately these days, they want the student to experiment and be very creative. But that stuff's not going to sell for the normal person. So you have to take maybe little snippets of the crazy stuff or creative stuff, and then incorporate it into more normal fashion that the rest of us can wear. Because
Right.
that crazy stuff may work on the runway. They call them showstoppers, just to make you look, and you want to look at somebody's fashion show. You don't want to see just a plain suit going down the runway. So it does give you pause. Sometimes I can't figure out. Okay, and the schools are pushing students to be creative, and their programs are going in that direction. A lot of them aren't focusing on technical stuff anymore. They're focusing more on the creative stuff, but it's not going to sell. Maybe a rock star might wear one item or something, but that's not stuff that you and me and everybody else is going to wear.
Yeah, that's. I
So
mean, that to me, that's almost like some of the stuff that they wear at the Met Gala. I mean, it's that's good for
right,
that
yeah, and
moment.
they are all trying to outdo each other and all that, but it's not going to trickle down to every normal
Right,
human being. I mean, there might be some segment, parts of that design that we could incorporate into a normal garment, but
right,
it's the bread and butter stuff. It's your t-shirts that sell, your basic blazers that sell, your tailored trousers that sell,
right.
anything, and stuff like that. Those are the things that are going to sell. All that crazy stuff, well, we need it. I mean, it's artistic, and the young designers like to experiment, which is good. It's good because they're not going to, if they go and work in an industry, they're not, that's all going to go out the door. So,
Yeah,
but I hope they know how to make their patterns and all that, because that's how you get your foot in the door, is by saying, hey, I can make the patterns and all that.
yeah. I had, I
Yeah.
had, I had that class with Katarina fashion. Pattern making. I thought it was harder than what it was, but I guess when I focused on it, I knew this was something that I needed to do and learn. I was like, this is like utterly amazing. Here's a good question for you: How can I be fashionable and authentic without interest or direct knowledge of former or current trends?
Well, I mean, you gotta. I'm sure there is something in you. I mean, I think everybody's got some fashionable and some fashion in them. And if you really think you don't have that in you, look at fashion magazines. They're a great source of inspiration. Or walk through your stores. Just go through the stores. Or now that the stores are opening up, or online. Now you got a great resource online. But I always think that everybody has something authentic and fashionable inside of them. Direct, they do have some direct knowledge. I mean, you're watching
Right,
television, you're absorbing what's going on, you're looking at the fashion. So it can happen anywhere. Or you're walking down the street, just go down the street and look at young people and see what they're wearing, and that can be a little bit inspirational for you. So and as far as current trends, we're at a time where just about everything goes. You can wear a 1920s outfit and people will compliment you, and
yeah,
say, oh,
yeah,
that's nice vintage look. It's not like it used to be where we have rules and regulations. We could never wear blue and green together,
right.
but then somebody realized, wow, the trees are green, the sky is blue, they're right next to each other. They look good. Why can't we combine blue and green? And now you see it everywhere. But there were a lot of rules about that. Purple and red, oh my goodness, never would have happened. So you can
Oh,
find inspiration anywhere. And, or if you want
I
to
mean,
keep
I mean,
just,
when you think about it, I can't remember the era, but I remember one time for men it was like all they wore was jeans and white t-shirts, and that was just
right.
such the in thing. But it wasn't like it was extravagant. It was something that everybody could partake of.
Well, right. They could, but that's one garment. Jeans started out in the fields with the farmers wearing them and all that, and it's amazing
Oh,
how they
okay.
got from the fields. Yeah, Levi Strauss started jeans for work people, for working people in the fields, painters, and all that. So we took them from the fields, and we amazing how we have made them into until we worship the stuff that
Right. So
fabric.
so when did exactly around when did jeans become more prevalent outside of working overhauls? And so when did that really become? I mean, around what time did that become?
I think it really started in the 70s. We were starting to wear them. Because prior to that, I'm not sure we would even go to school, wear class or whatever, wearing jeans.
Right.
But it was mostly, the art kids, the kids in art schools and all that. We were wearing we started with bell bottoms, and then we went into extreme where people would be wearing them and sweeping the floor with them. They were so long and
Oh,
things
I
like that.
remember.
But it's a garment that started at the bottom and it trickled up to the wealthy. And, once the wealthy got a hold of it, then everybody wanted to wear it.
Are
So,
you sure? Oh my God, that's why I love you so much. I mean, besides you being beautiful, but you're just so knowledgeable. Y'all better listen. I told y'all get your pens and your cheat. The woman then told you jeans did not start in your daggone closet. They started there if you were working in a factory or
and
you
that,
were working
yeah.
out the field and all. And I never. Wow, this is Ooh, this is exciting.
I mean, I grew up in the 70s. I would never, we never wore jeans at all outside of maybe in the house or when we were working out in the yard or something like that. And then
Oh
when I
wow.
went to art school, we were starting to wear them. I went to Micah. All the kids were wearing them. We were painting them, throwing paint all over them, and all that. But most fashion trends start up high with the wealthy and trickle down to the poor or whatever, or to the lower classes. If we I hate to have classes, but lower class, upper class, or whatever. But jeans are one item that started with the lower class, the working people in the
Oh
fields,
wow. Let me write me.
and
Let me write
and
this
they
down.
trickled up to the wealthy. So, and that's really amazing when you think about it.
So when did tie dye become
Oh,
fashionable?
that was in the 70s. We were tie dyeing everything, T-shirts, you name it. We were wrapping them up and dumping them in our bathtubs and everywhere. And then at those days, the dye didn't hold, so once you wore it, you got caught in the rain, you had dye everywhere. Nowadays, it's better. The dyes are better, but that was definitely in the yeah late 60s, 70s.
Now, Miss Sally, you have to realize you're like one of my most popular guests of all time. So I have questions all over the place. So I got to get to them. Let me see. She said, my friend said, honey, after my trials and errors of needing costumes and helping my customers see my garments, I've had to learn a few things. Plus, the money I've wasted on fabric that was dry rotted, I needed to take lessons to do it myself. Right.
Well, whenever you buy a garment or you're thinking of buying a garment, all you got to do is just yank at it a little. If it sometimes, and to pull on the seams a little. If it tears like paper, it's dry rotted. And I tell everybody that same thing. If you're buying yard goods, easier with yard goods. If you go in a store and you're buying yard goods, I always give them that pull test. I try to rip them with my hands, but I don't let anybody see me. I don't want to get thrown out of the store. But I mean, I do that because I know some of that stuff in some of those stores been hanging there for a while,
Right.
and they put it out. They'll take it back for the summer season, bring it out for the winter season, all sorts of crazy things. And I've come across some things that tear like paper, and he's right. Some of these things they dry. Fabric has a lifespan. It doesn't last forever. So it will, unless you take care of it and put it in acid-free boxes and put acid-free paper and don't put plastic bags on it, it's going to dry rot and it will tear just like a piece of paper.
Now say that again. Okay. Say that
Well,
again.
you don't want to store your good clothes in plastic bags, especially don't do that with furs or leathers, or you're going to have the fur will fall off eventually. But it's plastic; it's going to hold the humidity inside of there.
Oh my,
You need to let your garments breathe. You also
that is
shouldn't be
that's so
wearing your.
amazing. I never see. Yeah, listen. Whenever I have her here, I tell y'all come and have your pencils and paper, so y'all have all these good garments. Stop putting them in these plastic garment bags because it's not beneficial to your garments. No more plastic. She said no more hangers. We say no more
No.
plastic garment bags
No,
because
it's gonna
garments have to
that
breathe.
will dry rot. That will eventually cause your fabrics to dry rot even faster if it's something you want to hold on. And if it's a fur coat, it's gonna go bald. The fur is gonna fall off. The leather's gonna change color. The leather's gonna dry rot. Plastic is terrible. If you need to put it in a garment bag, then make a cotton garment bag and put it in there, or
Okay.
drape a piece of fabric over it, but don't put plastic on anything.
Oh
Um,
wow.
yeah, it's one of the worst things you could probably do. I mean, plastic is only good to take it from your dry cleaners to your house.
Okay.
That's
In
it.
other
So it
words,
won't get dirty for transport, but not for storage.
once you get this thing from the dry cleaners, do not let that thing sit in your closet for 6 months in that plastic bag until you wear it again. Because if you put
Right.
your arms in it,
The color can change, the dyes oxidize because of the moisture. They can't get the proper air. It's like you putting a bag over your head.
oh,
After a while, you're gonna kill yourself.
I can't say this on Facebook because I might get booted. But anyway, I'm curious and I can answer this question. Blah blah. I'm curious whether hemming and alterations essential for daily life.
Well, I'm not sure what he means by that question. Are they essential? If you have to alter something, you got to alter it. Yeah, it can be essential. If you don't want to alter your pants, then if they're too long, cuff them up. You can do a lot of things. So,
Yeah, because you have
well,
to keep in mind, well, most of the time when men buy suits, the pants are never hemmed, so you're
yeah,
gonna
they're
have
not
to.
him. They're always like there's a pinked edge, and that's because they're custom fitted. There's somebody there that's going to get the right hem lengths for you, and that depends on your shoes. Okay, so
Right.
whenever you're trying to get a right hem length on anything, wear it with the right shoes because it's going to change the length of the garment, whether it's pants or a dress.
Please say
Okay.
that again, because people. I know people are buy, like, I know ladies will come over here and want to get gowns made or whatever, and I'm like, but you know what? We cannot do the final product until you at least come over here in the shoes that you're planning on wearing with the gown, because if you come over here in slippers
Right.
and it hit one way in slippers, it's not going to hit the same way when you have on them 6-inch heels. That thing might come up to your thigh.
That's right, and they also need the right undergarments that they're going to wear the day of whenever they're going to wear it, because if and especially with women, if they don't, if they come and are wearing a thin type of bra, and then they come back and are wearing a padded bra, it's going to change the look. And so the right undergarments too, but shoes are really crucial. I refuse to hem anybody's dress or pants unless they have the right shoes. I mean, I make sure these are the shoes you're going to wear with this outfit.
Right.
And
Right.
then some of them will start. Well, it's just a little inch, and they show up with 6-inch heels. That's not a little 1-inch shoe there. So I always tell them, do not show up if I'm going to fit something on you. You better show up with the right undergarments and the right shoes, or you can go home, and that's
Right.
it.
Because because at the end of the day, when they walk up out of your studio or your room, your name is on that. So don't nobody want to say, "Oh, well, Miss Sally him this wrong." They're not gonna say, "Well, I didn't wear the right shoes, so that's why the him is wrong." They're not gonna. They're just gonna blame everything on you.
Right, yeah. I tell them that, yeah, my name is on it. Somebody's going to say, "Where'd you get that thing? It fits you terribly," or
Right.
whatever. That's- yeah, my name. I don't do a lot of custom design work, but once in a while I do. And I just, that's just one of my rules. I tell them up front, I'm not fitting this thing unless you come here. And then some of them want to fit it over their clothes. They don't want to, they can't. It's just too much trouble for them to go walk into the bathroom and take their clothes off and put on the garment they want that has to be fitted. They want to try it over on top of their clothes, and you cannot do that. You're not going to get the right fit. So
Right.
don't do it.
And that
Don't do
mean
it.
anything. I'm so proud to know you. This is why I reconnected to Facebook. Oh, thank you, baby. Question:
Uh,
what is and this is the $1 million question. What is the proper undergarments for a woman to wear under anything white? $1 million question.
well, I think it should really coordinate with the dress. If you're gonna wear white, wear white. Okay, don't
Right.
try to match your underwear to your skin tone unless you get it perfectly. Okay,
Right.
all right. So just wear white. I mean, yeah. Unless I can come up with something that is exactly to my skin tone, which is a little bit difficult to do for anybody's skin tone, just wear white. Okay, and
I
get
think it's so different now because women. I mean, a lot of women. Women. I don't know, in this day and time, they don't know about full slips and half a slips and
They
and
don't even know. No, I mentioned that to someone, because you could see right through her dress, and I said you're going to need to wear a slip, and she didn't know what it was. She had no clue of what a slip was. Because I said either you line the garment or you're going to have to wear. They were making something. I
right.
said you either going to put a lining in the garment, which gives it a nice body. I said, or you're going to have to wear a slip. And she looked at me like I was from outer space. And she's a lot, yeah, obviously a young person. They do not have any. I think anybody anybody under 40 right now has no concept of what a slip is.
I mean, but I had to realize at one point in time, and for most of us mature people, it's still a part of of your wardrobe to have a slip or half a slip or what they call that?
Right, right. And even a half a, I have several in different lengths, and sometimes
Right.
I just, if my skirt's not lined, I'll find the one that's the closest to the length of my garment, and I just put it on. It's not a big deal. It makes the garment look better. But they don't have a concept. They don't even know what the word means. And
But
I'm being serious.
I can't believe you said you've actually had people to come and get fitted and they didn't want to take their clothes off. I'm
No,
like,
they didn't. They wanted to try it right on top of whatever they were, what the heck they were wearing. I must had a conniption, which I did have a conniption. I said, take that darn thing, I rag off.
right.
You know what? Oh no, some of them do that. They're too lazy. They don't. Oh, it'll fit. It'll fit. I said no, unless it's a caftan. You're gonna have to, you're gonna have to wear, get your t-shirt off. Or some of them want to leave like their t-shirt on, but even a t-shirt can affect the fit of a garment.
Yeah.
And so, but I see a lot of it in dressing rooms and stores. That people trying clothes on top of their clothes. They're never going to get a good fit. I just look at them and go, "Oh my god!"
And then they wonder why. And then they wonder why when they get home and they don't have them clothes on, why it doesn't lay this way, why it doesn't fit. Because
Right, then it doesn't fit. It's too big, or usually it does end up being too big, and then they return it to the store. Or it didn't fit right. Well, why don't you just try it? Oh, I tried it over my sweats.
I tried it over. I tried it over my jeans, and I'm like, in layman's term, let me put it to you this way: don't try a coat on over top of a coat and think the damn thing is gonna fit.
And always keep in mind, if you're going to buy a jacket or a coat, it should be a size bigger than what you wear underneath. Okay, because a lot of people are stuck on sizes. If God forbid, they're a size 8 and they have to get a size 12 coat, sometimes they won't buy it because they think, I don't know, psychologically they've gained weight. I know coats, jackets have to go over another garment, so they need to be
Right.
at least a size bigger than what you normally wear.
I mean, that's just like even for men, when you think of men having to put on a coat over top of a blazer.
Right. And then they got to go a size larger. But some people are stuck on sizes because they think they've gotten bigger. It's just psychological. Sometimes some of the, your very expensive line, they size down. A size 6 may be really a size 8 psychologically, because some people will not, if they're stuck, say they're a size 6, they will not buy a size 8 even though it fits them. So the high end lines usually size, they cut bigger, but they'll size smaller.
Okay.
Like
Let me see.
for psychology.
Right, and to my viewer, Ray, Demetrius say start with what you like and how confident and comfortable you are in the garment or ensemble. Then give yourself permission to experiment with your confidence level. Yeah, I mean, like Miss Sally said, but with that,
Right.
your fashion sense is your fashion sense. What you like, nobody may not else like it, but if you like it and you're confident in what you wearing, go for it.
I say go for it. If you're comfortable in it, that's fine, but sometimes you got to remember, although, it's in style, it might not be for you,
Right.
So,
That part. That part.
you
That part.
know,
I have this saying that I say quite often, even to young ladies and guys that I so far. I say, look, just because they make it, don't mean you should wear it. Because you have to realize you have to get the garment that's going to fit you as an individual. If it looks like this on somebody that's a size 8 and you're a size 18, it may not look the same.
I know, and it's unfortunate, but I mean, I've seen a lot of that, and I see it a lot, in all age groups. They really shouldn't be in some of these garments. And I'm not saying it has to do with weight, because I've seen very thin people that shouldn't be in some of the garments, and I see a lot of people wearing a size smaller than they really are, because it makes them psychologically feel like they lost weight or whatever. But the stuff is wrinkling all over the place. It doesn't make you look smaller. It just makes you look very wrinkled and not put together.
And I have $1 million question for you that I want you to answer. Is black slimming or is black not slimming? I need the answer to that.
It's not the color black. It's anything dark will make you look slimmer. So
Okay.
you can do navy blue, you can do maroon. Anything dark will make you look slimmer. And it's not just reserved for the color. For well, black's not really a color. It's a mixture
Right.
of all colors. So anything. If you want to wear yellow and you want to look a little bit slimmer, then wear a really sort of more darkish yellow, things like that. If you want to wear orange and you feel that it's too bright for you, then more of the rusty type of colors and things like that. But it's
But y'all
anytime you
heard
get
it here first.
darker.
With my fashion guru is not black. Anything darker makes you look slimmer. So if you want a navy
Anything
blue,
darker, yes, it's going to make you look slimmer. Anything within the color. I mean, you have pink, but we have light pink and we have dark pink. If you want to look slimmer in pink, wear the dark pink. That's
all
all.
right.
That's it.
Now this is a. Should we be following the fashion rules and trends or creating our own?
Should we? No, I say create your own. Be unique. Why do you want to be like everybody else? I'm not sure
Look
the
at me. I'm
industry
like, there's
knows.
nobody like me, honey. I'm an
Yeah, that's
original.
true. You're one of a kind. But you make your own trend. Create your own style. I'm not sure the industry has. I mean, they'll put out some trends for the season and things like that, or the colors like gray and yellow or big colors right now and that kind of stuff. I mean, they will put things out like that. But I'm just seeing people just really being more themselves nowadays than following this dictate that, oh, okay, we're all going to be wearing purple pants this year or whatever. So it's
I
like
don't,
do your own thing. I take stuff out of the closet that I made 30 years ago and put it on. Fortunately I can still fit in it, which is a good thing. But and people are like, oh, well, that's pretty. Did you just make that? And I'm going, yeah, I made it last night. Sure. Um,
now see that's what I need from you when you come on. I'm gonna need you to come on and bring some pictures of some of your garments or bring some. I need look. I know. Now listen to me. Now I'm saying this because I know this lady. I see this young lady. She can not only talk the game. She can show the game. She knows the game. So I know all y'all be like, yeah, Miss Sally. The next time you come on, bring us some pictures or bring us a garment. I think that would be like, even if you had to come on and give us a mini slideshow, I'm here for it. Knowledge is power, and I'm so grateful that I'm still connected with this young lady. And you see,
No, I really always encourage, and I did that with my students. I was like, I don't want to follow what other schools are doing or push my design ideas on them. I would just tell them to, go for it. Let's experiment. Let's see what you come up with. And if you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't. So, so
but
that's.
this is a good one. But I couldn't answer this question because I'm no longer in the closet, so I don't mess with closets, honey. But anyway, how do you regulate closet humidity to avoid fabric?
Well, to avoid deteriorating the fabric or whatever. Well, the first thing is that, as I mentioned before, take your stuff. You're going to create more humidity within your clothes if you put those plastic bags on them. And the other thing is, it hasn't really so much to do with the humidity in the room or whatever. Is don't pack them in close together. They need air too. They need circulation. They need room to breathe. And also, closets have doors, and doors are meant to be closed. You need to keep it dark because if you keep a lot of light going into your closet, that's what's really going to deteriorate your fabrics. Light is not good. I've seen people hang their clothes on the curtain rods, right on with the sun coming through. The sun will destroy a lot of things. So that's another thing. So there's more things than just humidity. There's the environmental stuff with the bugs and all. If your house is prone to moths because they'll eat natural fibers, is line your closet. I did that in my sewing room. I actually lined my closet where I keep my fabric in cedar sheets. You can get them at Home Depot or whatever and Lowe's, and just tack them onto the back of your closet. You can just bang them in yourself. So my
Wow.
closets are lined in cedar, and that keeps the bugs out. So it's not just the humidity. There's a lot of things. Actually, the humidity is not bad. It keeps your garments wrinkle free. Humidity is what, if you've got things that are wrinkled, it'll make it fall off. But it's the sunlight. It's the way you hang your clothes. Also, you can't just if it's a stretchy fabric, it's best that you fold it and put it on a shelf instead of hanging it, or put it on a heavy padded hanger, because that'll make it stretch. They'll grow overnight. Some of them can grow a couple inches and become longer, and your sleeves will become longer and all that. So there's more to it than just the humidity in your room. And like I said, humidity isn't really, unless it's totally damp and mold's going to grow, then you need a dehumidifier in there if that's your issue. Because mold, if any mold that grows on your fabric, is going to eat right through it and put a hole right through it.
Oh
So
wow. So
there's a lot of different things.
Is the cedar cloth that's what I need to do, because I'm like, oh girl, you got too big. So is the cedar cloth, is it, well, to me, when it comes down to fashion, nothing is too expensive to protect your own stuff. But is it pricey, or is it reasonable?
The cedar, I haven't priced it in a while because I put that my closet together like 20 years ago, but I don't
Oh
think it's
wow,
that bad.
that stuff might be
I don't have
$200 by now.
yeah, I'm not up on the price of cedar sheets, but I do know that they do sell them, and that you can line instead of, you can tack it right on your drywall in your closets, and
So
it does.
everybody, y'all heard it here first on Hey Man. Get some cedar cloth. You can go to Home Depot, and we're in an age now where only thing you gotta do is Google everything. Google cedar cloth, find out how much it is.
And it's
I'm
not
telling
cloth,
you now.
it's just cedar sheets. But it's not cloth, it's cedar. It's actually cedar. And it's like paneling. It's like a paneling. And you just bang it onto your walls, or get somebody to do it for you. And then you can, put your shelves on and tack it onto that, because it gets tacked onto your drywall. And then your shelf, if you have shelves or a pole, whatever, it gets tacked on top of that.
Wow. Now here's $1 million question, and I know you're ready for this. Please share the difference between a seamstress, fashion designer, and a costume designer.
Well, a seamstress should be able, at least should know how to read a pattern, cut a pattern, should be able to make a garment and actually, fit it on somebody. A fashion designer is just basically someone that just comes up and generates the idea. And the old days, a fashion designer just sat there and just drew all day long and just came up with designs, and then they would take the sketch to the pattern maker, and then the pattern maker would do the pattern, and then the seamstress then to cut it out and sew it. I mean, a costumer has to do more with costume designing. They're not really trained in the art of fine sewing, because costume designs are not put together to last, and some of those garments have to be breakaway garments where you pull them off and there's something else underneath. So, but they do need to know their history of fashion, all the period pieces. They have to do a lot of research before they start with a collection. A fashion designer will also do some research too to get inspired. But those are all the different. A costume designer may not, they do get, it depends on where they go to school or whatever. Some of them do have training in pattern making, but they don't, they can make a garment from scratch. But usually with a lot
yes,
of,
we can.
Yeah, but usually they'll just go to stores, antique stores, and modify garments too. So it's more theatrical, and it's not fine. Really, it's not fine sewing unless you're doing some fantastic period piece.
Right. Now I have a question for you. Even though you don't hear a lot of it anymore, but is now and always have tailors just been for men clothing?
No, well, yeah, traditionally, yeah, they just did men's clothing. But I know in the menswear industry in Maryland, when we had the factories and we had the custom design, some of the factories and the tailors were doing ladies' suits. Um, so, but
Okay.
sometimes, and some of those suits I thought some often would look a little bit masculine than when
Right.
a female tailor would tailor those garments. Yeah, but traditionally seamstresses did the women's wear, and tailors did men's wear.
Was it who was it? And you can correct me. What was it? Who was the designer? Was it Coco Chanel, or who was it? Was it designer that brought women's suits? I mean, feminine women's suits to the forefront.
Well, Chanel did the suit. Chanel did the suit. Yeah, she's credited with doing the jacket and the skirt that match and all that. So it was definitely Chanel. I would have to give her credit for it, and I think history has given her credit for it.
Right.
So
Now
she,
here's the one. Who decides? I'm not gonna say it just like you said it, but who decides the hot new colors for the season? Is it simple as somebody just making cute pieces in abundance and becoming? We see a certain color everywhere. The media
well,
makes it.
well, the leading place is Pantone, and you can look it up. It's Pantone. There is sort of a color forecasting thing, and they're the people that work, the forecasters that work for them will look at what young people are wearing, look at what's going on in history, what their political people may be wearing, and sometimes they get a sense of what the big deal is. And Pantone always puts out the color, and I've heard recently that it was gray and yellow for this season. And then
Spell
you'll
it.
start,
Spell it for
yeah,
me again. Spell
and
it for
then
me again.
uh, Pantone, Pantone, Pantone colors, Pantone. It's called Pan with a P, like in Paul.
All right.
Pantone. They're a color forecasting place, and I'm seeing a lot of gray all over the place. And when you see colors, you'll see them in interiors, you'll see them on cars. It follows all over the place. You'll see it in jewelry, you'll see it in shoes. So if you go to a store at the beginning of the season,
Is that the
you'll
correct spelling?
yeah, Pantone. Yeah, you got it. If you go
Y'all
to
check now. Y'all know where who decides on the color, so y'all go
yeah,
check this
they're
out.
color forecasting, and they're the people that work for them just constantly look at what's out there. They read the magazines. They look, most of the time is they look at what and see what young people are throwing together, what colors they're using, and sometimes they'll say, "Well, this is it. This is the color," and everybody follows suit.
And you
So
say the
you're
colors
gonna,
for
right
you
now
say the
you're
colors
seeing
for
it.
this season are what?
Well, they're gray and yellow. Pantone said it was gray and yellow. Um,
Oh
so
wow.
yeah, because I posted on Facebook where I did some pillows and different size pillows and beaded them for a client, and it was gray and yellow. And somebody said, "Did you know that those are the Pantone colors for the season?" I said, "No. When we selected that fabric, we really that didn't know what the colors were. We just,
Right.
I'm not one to look at any colors. I don't really care what Pantone says. I was just." Those are the colors that this client chose wanted to go with because it went with a chandelier in her bedroom, that an antique chandelier that was colorful, that she was trying to pick up the colors, and it worked. And it just so happened that those are the Pantone colors, but I didn't know that. But I am seeing a lot of, if you go into model homes, you'll see the latest colors. They'll use that color scheme, which you're going to see a lot of grays. They go to the car industry, look at cars, look at the new models that are out. You're going to see the latest colors. It follows with everything, shoes and all that. So at the beginning of a season, you can go into I don't know if we have any more department stores. Maybe Nordstrom's is the only one left. But you can go into Nordstrom's at the beginning of the season. You'll see the color scheme. You'll see a lot of one color just popping out. And then you'll see it in jewelry. And the thing is if somebody wants to buy a garment in a rust color and that's the color of the season, then they can go to the shoe department, and there are shoes that will go with that rust. There's jewelry, there's scarves that coordinate. So that's at the beginning of the season. By the end of the season, everything gets kind of get mixed up
Right.
a little.
So do they? Do we have? Normally they have colors for all 4 seasons.
Well, yeah, they come up with colors, for yeah, about 4 seasons a year. Sometimes it depends. Sometimes it's a little bit more, but people are just doing their own thing nowadays. I don't know if these
Right.
forecasting places are going to survive too. So because
Right. Now we have $1 million question here, and I'm not even going to touch this. I'm going to let you answer it. Does skin tone determine what color patterns work for you?
I don't agree with that. I know there was way back in the actually 80s. There was, you could have yourself color coordinated. You were in autumn or winter. I honestly don't believe in that. I just really think that we can all wear whatever colors we want to wear. We might have to change our makeup a little or our accessories. and things like that. But I just, like some people will say, well, I can't wear yellow. It makes me, look really yellow. But yeah, you can wear yellow. And and because the yellow color is shining on your face, you might look a little bit more yellow. So break it up with a scarf or something that, so the yellow is not
Right.
on your
That's,
face. Because,
I'm
you
looking at
know,
your garment, and again, I say to y'all guys, Happy Pride Month. The
I
garment that she has
know
on is
it's
just
that's my
right.
pride outfit. And you know what? I made this about, I want to say 30 years ago. And it still hasn't dry rotted because I hang it properly, I store it properly.
Oh
It's perfect.
wow.
It's perfect. And thank the Lord I haven't changed size.
Right. That's the good
I'm
thing.
not kidding. It's an Italian cotton from Italy. It's a really good cotton, but I love these colors. So I just think it's fun.
What
And
what would
it's
you recommend?
classic.
What would you recommend as a decent heel for a woman to wear? Most think they can do 6-inch heels, but end up stomping roaches.
No, anything over 2 inches is going to hurt your feet. Let's face it. You're not going to. I mean, unless you're super young. But those 6 inch heel, I don't know. Half the time, I see them taking them off and walking barefooted and that
Oh
kind of
yeah.
stuff.
I
So
mean, I can attest to that. When
I mean,
sometimes I
they
wear
see the anchor people on television sitting there with their 6 inch heels. They're not moving. They're just sitting. Try
right.
walking on them for a couple hours. Yeah, I watch the morning shows and the ladies are there with their nice, and it looks really great, but they're not walking on in those shoes. So.
I mean, I love a heel too, but every time I do this show, I wear these, my slippers. 'Cause I'm going to be comfortable, honey. I don't care
I
what
don't.
nobody else.
Hey, I don't blame you at all. But I got nowadays I go for comfort. I said the heck with it. I mean, I wear my little heels here and there, but I'm not. My days of wearing 6 inch heels, I can forget it.
I'm
Um,
sorry to have messed up feet is one of the most uncomfortable things that a man or a woman can ever endure.
all
Just
right.
because you want to try. I mean, I know people who go to former galas or whatever, but as soon as they put their feet underneath the table, those shoes are off their feet. I'm trying to
Yeah,
tell
or
you.
they stand there and they don't move, and that's the way it was in the 18th century. The garments were so wide, the hairdo was like 6 feet high. I'm not kidding. Dresses were 6 feet wide. They just stood there and didn't move. They didn't move all night long because they
So
couldn't move.
name some of the since you're so knowledgeable, name some of the most now you were sharing on the last show that there's an exhibition. You were talking about there was an exhibition somewhere where they were featuring African American fashion designers. Now where was that at?
I'm trying to think when I was
Or
on.
even somebody was writing a book or something to that magnitude.
Oh no, there are books out already. Yeah, I mean, I probably was talking about my late friend Rosemary Reed, who wrote about Black African American fashion designers, Black fashion
Yeah.
designers.
And
Yeah,
what's her name? Rosemary Reed.
yeah, Rosemary Reed, Reed. Yeah, unfortunately she died. Yeah, so she has this. She wrote a book. She wrote a nice, wonderful book and profiled African American designers through the ages, going back to way back to Anne Lowe, way back in the 1800s and all that. Well, we had a museum. We had a museum in D.C., but it has closed, and it started in Harlem, and then it went to D.C., and since then, I think the family just chose to close it down. So,
Wow.
yeah. And
Wow.
I took my students there. We had a field trip. We took a whole busload of kids up to Harlem to the fashion museum. When I got there, they didn't want to get out of the bus. They were they had this idea that they were going to get killed or something. Oh, Miss Sally, we're not getting out of the bus. I said, what do you mean you're not getting out of the bus? You know how I worked hard to get this trip.
Right.
What is wrong with all of you? If you come, there's not going to be any wheels left on this bus. We're going to get killed. I said, you're getting out of the bus. I mean,
Lord.
these are BCC students,
Lord. Well, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do what we always do. We're gonna take a commercial break. We're gonna come back with a couple more questions from Miss Sally because, of course, y'all would have her on here till 12 o'clock in the morning, but she has a life. So we're gonna take this commercial break. We're gonna come back. Of course, a part of my show is doing my reveal, and I will tell you this: this what I have on, I did not make it because first of all, what I paid for, I wouldn't be able to. I wouldn't be able to buy fabric to make this gown for what I paid for it. So we're gonna take this commercial break, and we're gonna come back with more questions for my good professor. I call her Professor Sally.
Thank you.
We're gonna take this commercial break, and we'll be right back.
Viewer discretion is advised.
Behind the Blue Curtain, Saturdays at 11 a.m. Eastern. Unscripted talk on police reform and race relations.
And now, Behind the Blue Curtain's law enforcement liaison, retired 32-year Chicago police veteran, homicide detective, former commander, sergeant, grant writer, lecturer, and adjunct professor, Joseph J. Mosley.
Behind the Blue Curtain's Minister of Common Sense, former 12-year Fort Worth police officer, educator, voice of reason, and unapologetic practitioner of sound judgment, the young scholar, LaRonda Young.
Behind the Blue Curtain's co-host, fact checker, and investigative journalist, Isidoro Rodriguez.
All right, welcome back. We're here with Miss Sally. Let me do this little reveal, y'all, because y'all be like, I always have to do it, okay? Okay. This is my reveal for tonight, everybody. Voila.
Oh, wow. Look at you. Aren't you?
I most definitely didn't make it. I sit back and
That's beautiful.
I look back and I say, but somebody actually sat there and sewed all of these sequins on this damn dress.
Well, I think I don't know. Is it a vintage dress or is it a new dress? Because there are machines. They have machines that do sew it on.
Oh, they do. But see, I didn't know that. What's the name of that machine? I need.
I don't know I can't off the top of my head tell you what the name of it, but they do have machines that actually will produce that fabric. And well, it's in the textile part, in the textile industry. There's fabrics that sometimes they'll weave and attach those sequins all in one step.
I never knew that because I'm just thinking somebody sitting in the shop and getting them, excuse me for saying, paid $10 an hour for sewing all this stuff on somebody.
No, that's usually machine done. I mean, if it's a vintage, if you bought it and you think it comes from the 50s and all, yeah, there's a good chance it was done by hand. But this wasn't done in the 50s. I can promise you that. But it's beautiful. It looks good on you.
Going back to accessories, ladies, please keep a pair of isotoner slippers or even a pair of footies or ankle socks in your purse. Stop walking on these nasty sidewalks and floors barefooted. Ooh.
You know, that's one thing. I grew up in, I don't know, I grew up in Europe and Italy and all, and that's one thing. My mother would have hit me aside the head if she saw me walking barefooted. We always had to put shoes on because, something could happen. You're going to catch something. So that's the first thing I do when I wake up in the morning and I get myself ready. I never go barefooted anywhere. And
I make it a point to not even go barefooted in my house.
Yeah, I don't in my house either because I was taught that she would be so upset if she saw me barefooted when I was young. Put your shoes on. That's not just. Well,
back in the day, one of the things they should always say was if you walked around barefooted, your feet you end up with a big foot. I was like that was a
well, maybe that was it. But she had, we had these rules that was one of the rules at home. We have to wear our shoes, and I would stick to that because nowadays. Ooh, there's a lot of garbage on these floors on the ground.
And then I guess they really did. How they back in the day, certain things they wouldn't consider it ladylike if you walked around anywhere with no shoes on your feet.
Oh, no, it was not considered ladylike at all. No, if my mother, my aunts, and everybody, the relatives, when we walk on the street, we would see sometimes people barefooted, and they would think they were street people. That they're just they had a bad attitude with they just thought it was just terrible. And they would always remark, these people, they weren't taught any manners. You shouldn't be walking barefooted like this.
I mean, you also got to keep in mind that you wear shoes that look good, but you also got to realize those shoes serve another purpose. Those shoes are also there to protect your feet.
That's right. That's right. You'd be surprised what you can even nice clean grass, what kind of things can borrow, just make their way onto the bottom of your foot.
Right. I
So,
mean, I know quite a few people that probably ended up getting have to get technic shocks because they was walking around and they stepped on a rusty nail or whatever. Keep your shoes on, believe me.
yeah, keep your shoes on. It's just, and get rid of those flip flops though. Some of those flip flops can be dangerous.
I've seen people running in flip flops, and the middle piece in the flip flop has come out, and the shoe has flattened off, and they went over this way.
There are flip flop type of shoes that are really good, and they're good to wear. But those standard little plastic things are not good for anybody's feet.
I mean, look. I'm scared. I guess I'm even scared to wear. Like, people call me. I'm even scared to wear flip flops on the damn beach. I'm sorry. It's just because so much stuff that you can end up finding in the beach on the sand or whatever.
All right, that's true. And that's really true.
These beaches not as clean as they were back in the day, like in the 50s and the 60s, where they used to bring a little thing and clean the beach every night. And all. You find. I mean, I love Sandy Point State Park to life, but no, I couldn't.
No, I always make sure I have some actual closed in water type of shoes to
And
walk.
see, that's what I think too. When you go to the beach, I mean, you get the same effect. Wear your little water shoes, and you can walk around all day. You can even get in the water in your water shoes, and your feet are still protected.
Right. Yeah. I have always something on my feet. So
what actually? Now I'm gonna ask this question. What actually? Is it the length that actually qualifies something as an evening gown?
yeah, usually it's to the to close to like your ankle and ankle length. And if it's a little bit above its T length, then
Okay.
yeah, and then it goes a little bit high. It's cocktail length. T length, cocktail length is a little bit sort of mid calf. Um, those. Yeah, to the floor is considered an evening gown, right?
And then above, you say a little bit above the
Yeah,
ankle.
that's like T length. T length or we used to in the old days we called it cocktail dress.
Okay.
But if it's formal, it's usually formal means all the like a guy wears a tux and a lady wears a gown. But I see what the young people with formal to them means anything but jeans.
Yeah. Yeah.
The meaning of formal has really changed. So
And I think in this day and time, a lot of people don't know what as we used to call it back in the day, after six attire.
all right, after six, after six or cocktail or whatever. But and I've seen it in wedding invitations listed as formal. They don't mean tux or evening wear. They just mean, we don't want you to show up in blue jeans. Which
I'm sorry. Formal wear. I'm sorry. When I go to somebody and somebody say formal wear to me, I'm thinking formal wear is a man in a tux and a woman in a gown.
And that's what I think too. But the young people, it's like, Sunday best or a fancy dress. That doesn't necessarily mean to them to the ground. The lengths can vary. So.
Well, it don't vary for me. That's one thing I would not change. I'm sorry. If you're gonna wear a gown, it should be touching the top of your shoe.
Right, that's true. I mean, if it's a super formal affair, then it's a gown. Whatever.
Yeah. And around what time did tea-length dresses become real popular?
With the what? I missed the dresses. What did you say?
When did tea-length dresses become popular?
Oh, tea-length dresses. They've been around forever, though. But I think it was around the 60s. I might not be 100% correct on that, but I knew that were in the 60s. They were around, and they were popular for prom dresses, and things like that. They were sort of a little bit tea length.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I think everything has changed so much because I think even back in the day, because I love fashion. Of course I love old movies. I like Auntie Mame, and I love um My Fair Lady. I just the fashion in those movies just blew.
Well, it was an elegant time, and it was very prim and proper. In those days, women wore their hats and gloves even to go to the grocery store, you know.
Right.
But they didn't go to the grocery store like we do. We can go. We go. Some of us go every day. So maybe it was a once a week event, and they got dressed up for everything, for church, for grocery store, to go to the movies. But that's all. You know, we're a more relaxed society. We really can't. You know,
But I miss those days. I miss those days seeing my beautiful women in their flawless gowns and their gloves and their hair put up and maybe wearing a little.
I know.
Those things, like to me, was when I think people put more time and effort into their look, and it was always um, an elegant affair. I watch a lot of those movies just to look at the fashions.
Well, it was required. I mean, if you went on a trip on an airplane, you went on that plane all dressed up with a suit, with gloves, with heels, with hat. A man wore a suit, his hat, and and that kind of stuff. You didn't. Nowadays, God only knows what you see on. People just wear any old thing, and some of them don't wear much.
Now it's a I don't know if they do things there, but it's a men's clothing store on Charles Street.
What's it called? Which one?
Is it Marco? What the world is the name of this man?
Oh, are you talking about Mark Sklar? Mark owns it. John Marco.
Yeah.
Yeah, my friend Mark Sklar. I think either owns it or co-owns it. Oh yeah, that's the way the grand, gorgeous menswear. If anyone wants some beautiful Italian style Paris, the finest fabrics, go see Mark. It's a wonderful place.
I just sit and look at the ones and I'll be in awe. I'll be like, wow.
I
This
mean,
is
it's a real. It's not going to be cheap, but you're going to get quality, top of the line. I mean,
but you most
real.
definitely going you can most definitely I can guarantee you this if you don't believe nothing else Helena Hologram said if you come to Baltimore, like I have friends who live in Atlanta or whatever, when y'all come to Baltimore, we're gonna do a little fashion tour. I'm gonna take you to that store because let me tell you, that is something that if and when you get from him, don't put it in a plastic bag.
Right. Yeah, no, they're top of the line. They have gorgeous leather shoes from Italy, beautiful prints, silks, you name it, pullover sweaters, suits. They have I think, Taylor on their staff too. That
I mean, I just but then my ex, that's where, my ex, he was like I called him, he was a fashionista, honey. He just couldn't he could but I will say this about him. He loved good clothes, but he also became a consumer of thrift stores. Because I can remember one time we went there and got a jacket for like $5, and when we came home and looked it up, that jacket was worth $750.
I believe it. I believe it because people die and their children or family members just think it's all junk and they donate it. Yeah, you can get some good deals, but you'd have to spend time looking through
Yeah.
through the junk before you find. But you can find some treasures.
Oh yeah, you really come in. Me say yes. There is, and everybody remember this. If you don't remember anything else, remember on this day. Yes, there is a difference between a gown and a cocktail dress.
Yes,
I don't know
there is.
how you guys not. There's a difference. Read my
Yes.
lips. There is a difference.
No, definitely. The gown is down to your, ankle or a little bit above your shoe or whatever. You don't want to trip over it. And a cocktail is like tea length, is a couple inches above. Yeah, there's definitely a difference. And sometimes gowns have fallen out of favor because you wear it once. Where are you going to wear a gown to? Whereas something that's tea length or cocktail, you can wear it a little bit more. You can wear it to different events because not everything is formal. So
Well, I think this is just my opinion. I think whether you do it or not, I think every woman should have at least one basic gown in her closet. I don't care if it's black, green, purple, orange, or whatever. But
right, yeah.
like I think like in the '80s, there was a trend that um a lot of people were wearing gowns and they just got them altered into tea leaf dresses.
Yeah, you should. I have I have a couple in my closet because I've gone to formal events. I'm not crazy about going to formal events because I'm like, oh God, I gotta drag out that gown. But
I love formal events. I
I
just love to see beautiful women. I love to see men. Some of them have on their top hats, and then I just think that's a event that I'm always looking forward to. I mean, I don't look at um, the award shows and the red carpet anymore because a lot of the stuff they wear is really not even everyday wear anymore. It's just like somebody's being creative and throwing this out and throwing that out. But yeah, you give me a debutante ball or give me an evening event and I'm there for. See, I can go to an event as Derek and Helena, honey. So don't make me no difference, honey. I'm here for it either way.
but when formal events, we don't hold that many. I mean, there are some galas and things like that, but they're not. It's not like it was in the
No, because
past.
people don't even dress formal. Because you remember one time, if you went to a wedding, that was basically a formal affair. But they're
Yes,
they're
it
not even
was
formal,
right,
they're not even formal affairs anymore.
and most people wore evening gowns to weddings, and then that slowly in the late 70s started to go out the door. We started to see people wearing short dresses to weddings, and it was also not a good thing to wear white to the wedding because you didn't want to compete with the bride. But now it doesn't
That's
matter.
because that's because people don't have etiquette. They do not know fashion etiquette. I don't care if the bride was wearing black. Fashion etiquette is do not wear white to a damn wedding if you're not the bride. Okay?
Right, yeah. So, and we also time you didn't wear black to a wedding because it was a joyous event and stuff like that. You would wear color.
Ooh, that's
But
a good one. What would you recommend fashion wise for designers or stylists or styles with forgiveness in the cup without looking like a tent?
without looking like a tent, a modified tent that's a little bit fitted at the waist and flares out, and might have a little bit of a couple of darts, fitting darts at the waist to give
Yes,
it
that's
shape, to
it.
pull it in, to kind of pull it in instead of just being a tent. So, and that's kind of a look that can be worn by a lot of people because it's a little bit on the flared side and all that. So, and
I
it
learned
has
I
some
learned that in
forgiveness,
I learned that in when I had Katarina for um
pattern making. Yeah, I think.
yeah, that them darts made a difference in a garment. I'm
And
trying
they
to.
do, they do, but most garments out darts are expensive to sew now. They're not put in garment. Most people don't even know what a dart is, which is a fold in the fabric, gives it shape. Um,
and
you know.
especially and now it's like the world has gone so stretch fabric crazy.
Well, that's it. We didn't have stretch fabrics in the past, so we had to put in darts. Now you got these stretch fabrics, and darts have gone out the window. But I still think it's a beautiful. A dart is a work of art if you know how to place it
I I
properly.
I, I love a good dart. If you have a dart in the right place, it can make your waistline look different. It can
Right.
make your
True.
breast line look different. And
Yeah.
even and I learned when I was in that classes that that's the thing that'll give you those 2 to 4 inches you need to make that garment fit. Those darts.
Right. That's it's true. But you ask a young person what a dart is, and they'll look at you like that you're
They were
nuts.
like, yeah, the thing that they have at the bar when you drink and you just take it and you throw it. Yeah, that's what they.
So darts are there to give fit to the garment, to emphasize your shape and stuff like that. So
Let me tell you something. This woman right here, when you talk about technical, all of her instructors. I mean, technical. I've met quite a few of them. I still talk to Miss Dreamer every once in a while.
yeah, she's on them. We're Facebook friends, and actually, I've been during pandemic. I made masks. I'm still making some masks, and she purchased some of the masks. She came over here and got a bunch of them. So yeah, I do. I keep in touch with all of them.
And
Usually
you're going to lunch with Meredith Wednesday.
tomorrow. Yeah,
I
tomorrow.
told her, she said she's at work. I said, well, you know what? I know you're at work, but you can always go back and look at the show because it stays on Facebook for like 30 days. And it's also
Oh,
on YouTube. So you can even tell your friends to go on YouTube and just look up Helena Hologram or come on my Facebook page and look at it. I told her, I said, yeah, you'll be able to see it because I told her when I talked to her, I said, I never got the opportunity to tell you this, but I told her, I said, I thank you very much for your knowledge that you imparted to me. You know, because I did the history of costume. Was it histories of costume?
Yeah, it was history. It was called History of Costume. Yeah.
That one, then that class right there, that class, yeah, I mean, it was like because we were
Yeah,
talking about
it was a very. She was excellent.
that even
America's
back in the
excellent.
day, that way back when that women used to wear corsets whether they were pregnant or not.
I know that, which was not a good thing. It led to a lot of miscarriages back
I
then.
was
Yeah.
like, wow, you have to wear this corset and but
Well, they were trying to hide it. They didn't want to expose. Yeah, yeah, that's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, but it's terrible. It's terrible. Some of the things we did to ourselves because of fashion. They
right.
used to break their ribs so they would have that 16-inch waist and.
Oh wow, I'm not doing all that. I mean, I know they say pain is beauty, but if I need that kind of pain, then make me ugly. I'm not doing all that.
I know it was some of the stuff was really awful when you know.
But it seemed like a lot of it was always geared towards women and not men.
True, but men wore corsets too because
Yeah.
they ate all the they in those days they would have, and the big deal was to just eat all the time. They would have the well-to-do, they would have these wonderful parties, or they got together and they just ate all night long, and so the men were and drank beer and all that, ale, whatever they called it. And men were pudgy after a certain age. They got pudgy, so they wore corsets also.
But see, back then a lot of the courses they weren't made out of boning.
Oh, they had actual bone, metal. They were made out of metal in those
Right.
days. Yeah, there was a lot of metal in the corsets for men and women. Yeah, there was. And when World War I started, they took all those corsets and melted down the metal to make the guns, to make ammunition and all that stuff.
Now y'all listen. I say this woman is knowledgeable. Just listen to what she's telling you, honey. Y'all think about the ones y'all wear today. They do not compare to the ones that women and men that was basically only the fabric was there, but they was basically the thing that kept them together was damn metal.
All right. I mean, we have Spanx these days, which is just stretch. It's nothing what people used to wear in those
Right.
days. I mean, it was some heavy duty stuff. Women were laced in so tight that sometimes when they would take the corset off, they would faint in relief. They would faint. So then we had those chaise lounge type of chairs. They were fainting couches. Women would.
I seen the one that you did. I seen that picture of the chase.
Yeah, the right. Yeah, I did that for the one client I had that I did the pillows and all that.
I like that. I mean, I think any woman who's a woman should have a chase lounge. But listen to the history of it. They were called they were
They
made
were
just for
fainting couches. Women
right
would
when a
faint
woman took her
sometimes.
corset off and realized that she could breathe again.
Well, women were thought to be frail creatures. We faint back then, that we would faint, but it was because we were so laced. One of the reasons was we were laced into those corsets so tight.
But then I look at the amount when I think of women garments. Look at the amount of fabric that they used to use through the different eras with the
Right.
gowns.
Oh yeah, yards upon yards. I mean, with the wealthy, the more yards of fabric you had, the more wealthier you were. It was very prestigious to have more because one of the reasons is textile industry was very big. It helped the economy. So if women's dresses required a lot of yardage, then they would be buying more fabric, and the economy would be booming. The factories would be kept open to make the textiles and all. So it was very prestigious to have at least 10 yards of fabric in one garment.
Wow, that's
or
a
more.
lot.
Sometimes it could be, some of those garments that were heavily beaded could weigh like 100 pounds. So,
Are you serious?
yeah, like, there's pictures of the different queens. Queen Isabella of Spain wearing this beaded thing. There's a sort of a classic picture. She couldn't move. She was weighted down by this gown. She just stood there, and they had a lot of little boys, page boys around them to sort of, if she went off to one side, they would just keep her straight. So, but if you go through the castles in Europe, the doors are extremely wide, and it was
Right.
That was because the gowns some of them got to be like 6 feet wide. And that was the trend that went at a certain period. So they had to make it through those doors. They had to make it through the doors. So it's interesting. It's really interesting. It fashion impacted on architecture and everything else. And if you go to a museum, when you look at old paintings or whatever, you're usually recording history through the clothing they wore. And so the history of fashion is a record of our history, of man's history too.
I'm like when I say when I get fat when I get friends to come here. One thing I want to do, and another way, if you want to see you ain't even got to go to the museum. But if you want to see history of fashion, just Google first ladies and look
Oh
at
yeah,
how the
yeah.
fashion changed from
Right.
Washington all the way to now.
Yeah, and you can go to Washington and see the collection. I'm assuming I don't know if the museums are open, but I think they may be now. So.
But that's where you met when you was in. I think you said when you was in Washington. Is that where you met?
Well, yeah, I met Edith Head, who was a costume designer, and Elizabeth Taylor was her model or her famous client. I met Anne Klein, was another famous designer. I
And
met a
you met
bunch
and
of
you
them.
met and I think you told me you
Oh,
met Bob Mackey.
Bob Mackey, yes, I took the students to meet him. He was very nice, standing right next to me, talking to me, showed me pulled out Cher's gowns he had done, gave me feathers from them, signed. I still have his autograph somewhere in this house. Signed his autograph on a piece of paper. Talked to the students, very nice. Yeah, so we did meet Bob Mackey. He gave a whole presentation. He actually brought some of the actual costumes he had done for the stars. So
Because
that
he
was an
was
exciting time, and
he
it was just really wonderful.
he used to be whenever I think besides Shad, but whenever I think of Bob Mackey, the first person that always comes to my mind is Carol Burnett.
Right. Yeah, and yeah, he had some of those dresses too. He had the Carol Burnett collection, as I call it. Yeah. It was just an exciting time, and it was good PR for them. But now, all that they don't do much any of that any longer.
But see, then it was like, but then like the question was earlier, that people need to know that all designers don't know how to sew.
No, a lot of the famous designers did not know how to sew. Jeffrey Bean didn't know. I don't think Ralph Lauren knows how to sew.
Wow.
And I don't know about Yves Saint Laurent, maybe, but a lot of them just got in. Just some of them didn't even go to school and just kind of worked their way into the apprentice and got
Right.
in there. Yeah, you don't have to. You don't really have to know how to sew or even draw to be a designer. Just sometimes just a rough sketch and things like that will do. So, but
Yeah, 'cause
nowadays, if you know your pattern making and your construction and your tailoring and it's easier to get your foot in the door because there aren't that many actual design jobs. I mean, becoming a actual big fashion designer type of jobs, those are not that plentiful.
And me said and Donna Ross for me he loves a lot of the things that Bob Mackey designed for her.
Yeah, he did. He designed for. Well, I saw. Well, he brought all that. He had all that with him when he did his trunk show in
I wish
DC.
I was there.
Yeah, it was just a great time. The Smithsonian every year would launch this program where they would bring famous designers and for about a month every year, every springtime. So I took advantage of it. I would always go.
Right. A question for you is what do you prefer, real fur or fox fur? Well, for me, because Peter is around, I prefer fox fur, but I'm just saying it on the ad just for but child. First of all, I can't afford a real fur. Would you like to buy me one?
No, I kind um I'm more into the fake stuff now because of the animal welfare issues. But in the old days, I'm not gonna lie, I have a mink coat. It's in my closet. I haven't worn it, and I don't think I can wear it anymore. I just don't feel comfortable in it. But
Right.
I remember I had to have one in the 70s or 80s, whatever. It was probably more like 80s. And we went to Mano Schwartz, which is a huge furrier in town. He's still around, and
He's still around.
you could buy your Kodum payment plan just like an automobile.
Yeah, because he still has the as I call them, the hotel shows where they get together once a year. And he bring out all the stuff that was from last year and try to sell it off and all that
Yeah.
good stuff.
Well, you have to be careful with furs. If they're dry rotted, you have to be careful who you buy them from.
Right.
You know.
I mean, in this day and time, it's easy to do your homework. And like Miss Sally gave y'all information
Right.
on how to make sure that stuff isn't dry rotted. Just don't do it in front of the people because they might kick you out the store.
Yeah, you don't want to get kicked out the store, but just I've been known to bring my scissors with me, snip a little seam here and there just to see if it tears.
Right. And as a consumer, I think we have we have a right to know what's what, but unfortunately, a lot of us don't.
No, I know a lot of us, the normal consumer does not know anything about construction or whatever. They'll buy things with strings hanging, the sewing's really bad. Strings are hanging all over the place and not think anything of it.
But yeah, Dimitri said I so want a full length black sable coat. Good luck with that one, honey.
Well, go see Mr. Swartz.
Yeah, go come up here and see, but I can guarantee a full
Well,
length.
Soleil the Furrier in downtown Baltimore. He's somewhere in downtown. He's very good. Go see Soleil the Furrier.
A full length anything is gonna cost you a pretty penny. So you get ready to get on that payment plan, honey. And what I'm gonna say, and you make sure wherever you are, because a lot of people, just because you buy fur does not mean you know how to keep it properly.
Yeah, it has to be stored properly in the summertime, and it has to be you take it into the furrier, they oil it or do whatever they do
Right.
to it. Definitely don't store it in a plastic bag. But
A lot. I know a lot of furriers. That's part of their thing. That they will house your
yeah, they will for a fee. It's not
for
free.
a fee, and they're not gonna do it for free, honey.
No, it's not
They,
free. I don't know how much it costs, but they will house it for you.
no,
Yeah.
I never. I mean, I have quite a few fake furs around here. Well,
Yeah.
for you to get a full length black sable and you 6'4", honey, you have to have one specially made for you.
Yeah, you need to go see Soleil the Furrier. He'll make it for you.
And it'll be just yours. It'll be an original. You be like, I've got this from Baltimore. Yeah, so we got knowledge here, but y'all know, I don't know. I just get so giddy when I have Miss Sally on the show because she just has so much knowledge. I learned that let me see. I learned that if you guys want to know about colors, you go to look up this
Pink.
colors that gives you the colors for the season. If you're that kind of a person, but if you're an individual person, I mean, if you want to follow the trend as far as they are concerned, that's okay. But I'm all for what's wrong with making your own trend.
That's right. Make your own music. That's what I do. I really don't. I don't even look at fashion magazines after time. I just do my own thing. If fashion magazines are going to show a lot of, mostly a lot of crazy stuff that most of us cannot wear.
And they're gonna show stuff and they're gonna show stuff that's not for the average size woman.
No, it's not. They have to sell magazines. People don't want to go and open a magazine and look at somebody, somebody like a 60-year-old wearing a suit. They want to see all that crazy stuff.
Right.
Can't blame them. I mean, I would expect the same thing if I looked at a fashion magazine, unless it's a pattern magazine. It's Butterick or McCall's, and you get some basic stuff. But
yeah, but I think because of technology, a lot of the fashion magazines are holding on by a thread.
true. Well, everything's going online now. A lot of the paper stuff is just going to be gone out the window. You can buy patterns online. You can buy, you can look at fashion magazines online now. So 100 years from now, there won't be any paperback books or magazines or whatever.
At all. I mean, now you don't even see people delivering the Baltimore Sun anymore. Everybody read that on their laptops and computers.
Right. It's everything, it's everything's changed. We just have to accept this as progress,
Now, Meech, I'm going to tell you like this. He asked the questions. What are your thoughts about the sweatshops of mass production?
Well, I'm definitely, I'm against them. I just think people need to be treated like human beings and being they can they can sew for a living, but they need to be in a environment where it's air conditioned, there's heat in the winter, they're allowed to take bathroom breaks and lunch breaks and things like that, and they need to be paid fairly. I'm hoping that these sweatshops will eventually, they're still there.
But you know, it was in one of the classes. I can't remember what it was that we watched that movie. Oh my God, it disturbed me so much. Where we watched the movie and they showed that big fire in New York. They
Oh,
were
the
all
one
up.
in New York, that was terrible. The New York
I was
fire.
like, I mean, they were locking. They would get the women in there. They would lock the doors
Yeah,
behind. I mean, and that was like horrific. I was like, oh my God, I cannot believe they actually treated people like that.
they did. They did. They locked them in there and only opened doors when it was time for them to go home, which was usually late at night, and then they'd have to be back there early in the morning. Yeah, it's true. It's just this, but people needed jobs. They needed money. So the condition. I mean, in Maryland, the conditions were not bad in the factories that I was acquainted with. They didn't have air conditioning in the summer and the big, and the made that changed probably in the late 60s, 70s. They started to put air conditioning in, or air conditioning units and windows, but it got bad in the summer because of the heat. But
And then I
but
think
most
they just
homes didn't have air conditioning back then. We didn't have central air conditioning like.
right. But I think they were just so cool because I guess their mindset was, oh, they're just immigrants. I wouldn't care if they were immigrant or American born. They were still human beings
Yeah,
first
there
and
was that.
foremost.
Yeah, there was that mindset. They're just immigrants. They're lucky they can get work and that kind of stuff. Yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's true.
I think I'm gonna go on. I have one on one of my tablet on one of my shows. I'm gonna actually go and look at. I'm gonna brave it and look at it again. I like history. Period. History is knowledge, and history keeps us on top of it. How about now? See, me personally, I don't like. How about the disposable clothing?
All the stuff most of our clothing is disposable. It's not really made to last more than a couple wearings.
Right,
Forever 21 stores are a prime example of, as I call, disposable stuff, and they just throw it together. It's not even sewn together. It's serged together, which is a finish that kind of wraps the edges of the fabric and
right,
throws it all in one step. In the old days, we would sew it, or we would serge it and then sew it and all that. So it just gets
right.
thrown together.
I mean, that's just like you say, Forever 21, like Gallows and Rainbow.
Yeah, and all
They they,
those.
they, 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 they make their money off of selling you these $4 and $5 tops, and then
Yeah,
then when you get home and you wear it the second time and it rip, you get upset. No, baby, those things were not made to last. I'm trying
they're
to tell you
not.
that.
They're not made to last. They want you to come back and buy more. But also, our society is like we wear it once and we don't, especially the young people. I'm not wearing that again. You know, and I tell them nobody's going to remember what the heck you wore. You can wear it again. Oh, I wore it already.
Right now, how about fake name brand design? Then, me personally, I think that's very disrespectful. Um,
Yeah. Oh, when it is terrible, but it does happen, and they're trying to control it. Cops go after them in New York and chase after them and all that kind of stuff. But the consumer buys that stuff from these people, and they want to look like they're wearing a Gucci watch, but it's not really a Gucci watch. So
or
you
they
don't
want to
know
think
what
they want to think they're walking around with a Louis Vuitton bag, and it's not a Louis Vuitton bag, and
it's
and it's sad.
not.
And the
It's not
sad
a.
thing about it is that industry has blown up. But at the end of the day, those people who do this for a living and they've been doing it, they're the ones that get hurt at the end by all of this fake name brands.
Yeah, and I mean, yeah, they do. Yeah, they hurt the end, but sometimes the actual designers don't really care because it gets their name out on the street, so that gets their goods out there. But people that really know what Gucci looks like and what a real Chanel looks like, do know the difference, but the rest of us don't. So if you see
Right.
some of
I mean, they know what like even down to bags. First of all, most designer bags are going to come with a certificate of authenticity.
right, right,
And it's a certain way that the label is on the inside. I learned this in your class. So it's a
right.
certain way that the label is on the inside of the bag, and if it's put a certain way, it's an original, and if it's not, it's not. But everybody don't know that, and everybody don't want to know that.
They don't care. They just want to look like, usually when I see somebody carrying a Chanel bag, I just automatically assume it's a fake.
Right. I mean, because I
Yeah.
mean, let's be for real. A Chanel bag is not going to cost you $119.
No, a friend of mine bought the real Chanel bag, and it was like 6,000.
Woo!
Right?
I have to do a lot
there's
of drag
bags that
shows to get
cost.
that kind of bag.
Yeah, I mean, it was a $6,000 bag. I mean, who needs? I don't personally need a $6,000 bag, but
But then to get a bag, but then to get a bag of that short of that cost, it would be to get a bag that costs that much. You would most definitely have to get some kind of insurance on it. Period.
I'm assuming, yeah. But the average person is seeing it come down the street, somebody wearing it or carrying a Chanel purse is going to automatically think it's a fake.
Right,
You
right.
can't,
I
and
mean,
the fakes look pretty good, and
yeah.
we may not know. So
But
who's
then,
gonna know?
like you said, most people can't. The average person ain't gonna be able to tell the difference between a fake and an
Yeah,
authentic one anyway. They automatically gonna just assume that it's fake.
yeah. That's when I see these young people carrying big name brand things. Probably 90% of the time they're fake.
Right.
There might
Okay.
be that 10% that
What
they
do you,
can't afford it.
right. What do you prefer? A surge or a pink and sheared edge? I'm finished.
Well, I would, I don't prefer any edges, serge or pink. On a real fine garment, if it's lined, you don't have to serge or pink the edges, especially if you close the lining at the bottom, which means you can't get underneath the garment. So, have to keep in mind that a serged edge is always going to add bulk to your seam. So if it's a cotton fabric, it can handle a serged edge. Pinked edges were never really used in the industry. They were only used to paint the edges of the linings, and that's it.
Okay.
Never on the real fabric, except for the bottom of men's pants before they were hem.
Right.
And that was about it.
Right.
But serging is very quick. If and we can't do French seam, which encases the seams, that's another way to finish really nice garments. But that's too pricey nowadays. So serging is quick and it's inexpensive, and that's the way it goes. We're using it. So
I think when surgery became popular, I think that's when they really got into doing garments with a lot of unfinished edges to them.
well, yeah, we have that trend out there now. They leave the edges raw, and everybody just loves it. And I gotta admit, I've used a little of some of those techniques, but I don't leave them totally raw. I try to
Right.
put a little stitching at the edge so it doesn't keep on raveling and things like that. And but that's a huge trend, and that saves a lot of money in the sewing process in the factories. Every seam costs money. So if you can leave the seam raw and not serged or even sewn, that's a cheaper garment.
Wow.
Yeah.
What would you all wear dress designs that only made a
Would you
weave?
all wear dress designs that don't make? I mean, I can see the questions. Only made of weaves. I know what he's talking about. A woven, as opposed to maybe a stretch. But I'll tell you, a little bit of stretch has been a blessing because it does make the garment more comfortable. If you're going to wear total woven fabric, if you're going to be dealing with a totally woven fabric that does not have any, but every fabric has a little bit of give on the cross grain, more so than on the lengthwise grain. So that's why we put the cross grain around the body. So if it's cut right, it's going to still give you a little bit of give, but you need a little bit of that give for comfort. But also, the pattern has to be done right. I mean, you can't blame everything on the fabric. If there isn't a lot, some nice, good wearing ease in a pattern, regardless of what you use. If it's totally stretched, it doesn't matter. But if it's a woven fabric, it's not going to fit properly and things like that. So a little bit of stretch, I think, has been a blessing because it helps to fit a garment a little bit better and to sort of adhere or you mold to the contours of the human body. So
But with
no,
woven
you
fabric,
have to understand the anatomy of the human body before you can really understand garment fit or fit
right?
something properly on a human. Because the body changes with age, and when we
Yeah.
sit, when we extend our arms, if it's a long sleeve garment, your sleeve is going to get a little shorter, so you may want to make the hem of that, make it a little tiny bit longer, so it
Yeah,
accommodates
but you
that.
but for that but you'll be more apt to use darts on. I'm not saying you can't, but you'll be more apt to use darts on woven fabric than you would stretch, right?
Oh, that most definitely. Yeah, a totally woven fabric, and if it's a fitted garment, is not going to do well. It's not going to fit well unless you have some kind of darts in there.
See, y'all, I know stuff. This woman taught me. I know things.
Well, yeah, that's wonderful. You're retaining all of that. That's really good because you went to school back in the '90s. That was a while ago. So, but that's great when it's amazing. It's amazing. I've run across a lot of students I haven't seen, and they're like, we remember all those lectures. We remember all those demonstrations that you all did there. And that's really wonderful. It means a lot.
Yes,
So
I've always loved the way that the pleated skirt or whatever. I always love the way that they lay pleats are like they to me they're worth the time and the effort you took to put them in.
right, they do. Yeah, I know he's talking about a French hem or a tailor's. Unless you do it yourself, you're not going to see much of it these days. I don't know where you're going to. It's exclusive. Yeah, it costs too much money to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah, so a lot of people, a lot of things are going about price wise, and people, and unfortunately in this day and time, people don't want to pay money for the good quality stuff no more. And not on that, half of them don't even know what a French hem is. They probably
I
think you
know
talking about.
they don't know what they don't know any of that stuff. It's the minority that really knows that. A
I
minority of our
do.
population that
I
knows.
remember the French.
Yeah, we remember all that. We had
I
Hong
still, I,
Kong hens.
I still have most of my books. I have my book in flat pattern designing. I still have my clothing construction book. I kept quite a few. Unlike a lot of other students, I didn't sell my books back to the bookstore. I kept mine.
Oh, that's a good thing. So, I hope
Well, guys,
everyone's.
we all want to thank Miss. Oh my God, this is and y'all remember, gray and yellow. And when you go to Pontones. Let me get it right to find out the color forecast for those of you who are worried. This is where you go to
Yeah,
find out.
our Google color forecasting, and it'll come up if you Google and there's other organizations too that do that. Trend. If you Google trend forecasting, there are trend reports out there that you can read. There's plenty of stuff out there now. Now we got the internet. You don't have to go to the library. I used to have to go to the library to do my research.
Yeah, I remember I had a couple of students in one of my classes. They couldn't afford the books, so naturally, all the books that we needed for class were in the
The
library.
library, I know. I know. Uh, I remember
Well,
this.
guys, we want to thank Miss Sally for being here. I'm just so
Well,
grateful.
thank
Oh my God.
you. You've had some really wonderful questions from your guests.
This is
They're-
wonderful. We
yeah.
most definitely know we're gonna have you back again. We don't know when, but y'all. I told y'all bring y'all pencils and papers because she told y'all the essential things to have in your wardrobe. She told you black is not dark colors are slimming. Not only because black is not a color. Okay, let's get that right first. Dark dark colors are always slimming. Okay.
Yep. Always think, in every color family, there's the light and then in between, and then there's the dark. If you go to the paint to Lowe's and look at the paint swatches, you can see all your colors. You can do a little color study there. You can see all your different colors. That's a great place to look at color.
Yeah,
Is
so
that in the paint department.
you can be colorful and still fashionable and still be slim and it don't has to be black. You heard that? You
That's
learned that
true.
here with
Yeah.
Miss Sally DeMarco.
All
Thank
right.
you, Miss Sally. Oh my
All
God,
right.
this is
Good
a
night,
wonderful
everybody.
time.
Thank you for having me.
Good
Bye.
night. Oh my God, I'm just like woo. Mm. That took me somewhere. And like she said, if you want to find out the color trends, you can also go and look, Google color trends, and it'll tell you. But I'm actually feeling that gray and that yellow. That's kind of cute, Artie. That's kind. So if you guys if you guys enjoyed the show tonight, take time and Miss Sally has a Facebook page. Her name is Sally DeMarco. Go on her page and inbox her and tell her how much you enjoyed the show. I'm just that lady has been a very, very important part of my life, and whew, I'm blessed to have the opportunity to have this platform and have the opportunity to share part of my life with you guys. And she was a serious part of my life. You know, when I do my fashion shows and things of that nature, I always send her pictures, and I try to thank her as much as possible, because I know my little brother says all the time, you know, give the people their flowers while they're here. And she was like a force, and not only that, she, oh my God, the knowledge that this young lady have of the fashion world is incredible. It is undeniable. The woman is a beast in it when it comes down. Oh my God, guys, I'm just like, um, I don't know. It's just I just love her. And like I said, you know, we talked about some things that when my family and friends come here, you know, to know that Baltimore used to be like a fashion hub for the whole country at one given point in time. But then, you know, of course, when they started sending stuff overseas, then we lost it. But we still have a couple of good stores here that I would like to take you guys to see. But it just amazes me how knowledgeable she is. I love her to life. She has been a very important part of my life. I'm glad that she has willing. Y'all come, whichever one y'all come first. We're going straight to DC, and we're going to do a presidential look at fashion. And I say a presidential look at fashion, we're going to look at the garments of the first. You ain't even got to wait for that. Google first ladies, and you can see how they went from wearing gowns with chin fabric, and like Miss Sally said, you know, the more fabric your gown was, determined your status. Isn't that weird? How much? Yeah, the more fabric your garment had determined your status in society, and that blows my mind. I mean, and she was saying, you know, at one point in time, women were wearing garments, beaded garments that was wearing 100 pounds. I mean, she talked about Queen Isabella. I mean, that she had little page boys back, because she leaned this way or leaned that way. They get like, bitch, get back up, girl. So I'm like, y'all don't know that tonight's show was it was for y'all, but it was for me too. I enjoyed it tremendously, Miss Sally. I love you. I appreciated you. I thank you. I just think it's so important that we give props and give flowers to people who've made an impact in your life. And that young lady who has made such an impact on my life, such an impact on my ability to sew, such an impact on my ability to be creative, and such an impact on my ability to just be me. And y'all don't know this thing right here. Who could God Almighty? It 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 moved me, and I'm so glad that you guys and ladies had the opportunity to share in this with me. I know Big Meech. I know Big Meech got his life. I know Eric and JoJo. I'm not like this often, but I'm almost speechless. But let me do this. I always have to do this. Let me make sure, let you know. I want to most definitely thank my wonderful sponsors, the Nighthawk Network, Eric Button, and of course my newest sponsors, the Washington Consulting Group. Without you guys helping me, I want to thank whew, mm, here we go with this. Now my makeup's moving. But anyway, I want to thank you guys most definitely for joining me tonight. I do what I say, and like I tell you guys, if you guys have any suggestions that you would like to be topics on the show, inbox me. Most of you, most everybody on here knows how to get in touch with me. I'm on Facebook as Helena Hologram. Y'all can go on either one of my pages. The Hey Bitches Live page, or you can go on the remix page with your boy Dirk. I you guys is what make my show, along with my guests, of course, my guests. But you guys ask questions that actually brings up ideas for other topics. But if you guys have any topics that you want to discuss, or you want to talk about, inbox me. I'm here for it. Now, I will tell you that I most definitely have to, you look at your topics and overview and, look over them, blah, 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 because I'm not going to say you send me a topic on Monday that's going to be on the show the next Monday, I will take my time to send back to you if the topic had been altered a little bit for whatever reason, for productions reasons or whatever the case may be. But yeah, send them in. I mean, this show was most definitely a blessing to me, and it was a blessing in more ways than one because today was actually supposed to be the day that my co-host started, but something transpired, life, and she couldn't make it here. But guess what? God is good, and we still did the thing. Y'all just do not know how much this show meant to me and how much you guys mean to me. I'm so grateful for you guys. I'm thankful. You know what? After every you guys know every Monday night at 12 o'clock, I'm on Bigo doing my Helena Holograms music therapy. We always do slow jams and all of that. It's 11:01. Miss Sally, she gave us 2 hours. God, guys, I'm so grateful. I'm whew, get myself together here. So I want to thank again. I want to thank all of you, JoJo, Demetrius, David, Leah, Rose, my son Ray. I don't want to miss nobody. And of course, Leah. I haven't seen Leah in so long. I'm so glad you're still out and about, Princess Ray, John, Eric Button. And you guys allow me to be who I am and be in the space that I'm in and I'm comfortable with it. I thank you guys so much. I'm actually going to go back and I'm actually going to look at this show again because I have to write down some more. Some of the wonderful I mean, the woman gave us knowledge. Whoo, yes. Let me say this. I'm gonna use this as a little banner. If y'all don't remember nothing else Mother Helena said, y'all remember this. I want y'all to do this for me. Take pride in what you wear. Hear what I'm saying? Take pride in what you wear. Everybody's not gonna like this, everybody's not gonna like that. But take pride in what you wear. If you put on a pair of jeans and you think you look good in them jeans, well, honey, take pride in that. You know, your first impressions are, So take most definitely take pride in what you wear and be comfortable. And guys, I love you guys. I love you. I love you. Oh my God. Whew. Thank you, Jesus. And when I tell you this show took me places, I just love Miss Sally. She just, take pride. Hey, Greg, how are you? Happy belated birthday. Take pride in what you wear and don't wear what you wear because John, Murray, and Martha like you in it or don't like you in it. Take pride in what you wear and come up with your own trend. Come up with your own fad. Do the thing. Like Miss Sally said, and I said all the time, just because they make it, honey, don't mean you should wear it. Okay, I'm trying to tell you, honey, everything ain't for everybody. I mean, of course, everything's up. So take pride in what you wear and take a little time and like Miss Sally said, in this day and time, Forever 21 Rainbow, um, Gallows, a lot of them, like these eggs, a lot of them have disposable garments. They don't have garments that you're gonna keep in your closet for 50 years. And what another thing she said, remember, do not put your garments in plastic bags, plastic garment bag, plastic whatever. She said if you're gonna put your garments in any kind of bag, whether it be a suit, a dress, or whatever, make sure it's a cotton bag. Do not use plastic. And remember, she said line your closets to help save your garments with cedar. You can go to Home Depot or Lowe's and find out how much it is because guess what? I'm on that. Who could God Almighty? I'm so on that. So on that. I know some of my other fashionistas out here gonna be like, well, dang, I need to put some cedar in your closet, line your closet with it, and then you could begin to begin to keep your garments a lot longer. You set up here and you heard her say, she got garments that she's made 30, 20, 30, and 40 years ago, and they're still in good condition because garments stay in good condition because you know how to properly take care of them. Like I said, I mother made it sound like a little joke, but back in the day, Mommy Dearest say no more wire hangers. Guess what? Helena Hologram is saying no more hanging your closet in plastic. No more hanging your clothes in plastic bags. When you get your clothes from the cleaner, girl, don't think it's cute. They keep that, and you're not gonna wear that thing until next year. Get that thing out of that plastic cleaner's bag and put it in a cloth bag. And guess what? People hate on me what I put on. But guess what? If you're comfortable in it, Greg, don't look. Life is too short to be worried about what everybody else thinks. But when I wake up every morning, I look in the mirror and I say I'm fearfully and wonderfully made, honey. Often imitated, never duplicated. I am the original. Hey, bitches herself, honey. And it took me a while to get there, but honey, I'm here for it. I'm child, please. I'm going to do me, but I'm gonna do me, and it's important that when you walk out of your house, for you to feel comfortable in what you're wearing. Because if you feel comfortable in what you're wearing, then you're not gonna second guess yourself. If you don't feel if you feel uncomfortable in what you're wearing, what anybody say, do, or think is gonna affect you. But honey, when I leave up out of these four walls, honey, yes, honey, do what, be comfortable in what you're wearing. People yes, and I'll be looking at them too, Greg. We've known each other for a long. Yeah, it's been a minute. Yeah, yeah. Child, honey, Helena Hologram. I do what I do, boo. I don't get into all that. I'm also a firm believer that everything is not for everybody. Some very hippie people, some very hippie women, and hippie men I don't think she'll wear lowriders, but that's their thing. But as long as you feel comfortable in what you're wearing and what you're feeling, I'm all here for it. Do you hear me? I thank you guys. I applaud you guys. Miss Helena, I'm gonna be over on Bigo at 12 o'clock doing my slow jams. If any of you are on Bigo, come over there, check me out. Same name, Helena Hologram. I'll be playing my music. I'm also there on every Monday, Thursday, and Saturday. Well, your boy Derek is there playing gospel therapy at 11:30 a.m. Until usually I go from like 11:30 to 1:30 or 2 o'clock. I'm contemplating cutting one of those days on Bigo. We'll see. I'm gonna pray on it, see what's what. So, so guys, I just don't know how to act. I thank you for coming. Tell your friends I'm here every Monday at 9 o'clock for Hey Bitches Live. The original Hey Bitches herself, honey. Often imitated, never duplicated. I am the original, honey. I'm into it. That's what I want. Y'all send me some fans. Y'all mail me some fans. I like fans. I think they can be very seductive. Okay. Well, you know what? Maybe we'll make that a thing, because one time back in the day, the scrippers used the big old fans to get what they needed. Be proud what you are inside and don't give a damn about the people on. Child, let me tell you something, honey. It took me a while, but honey, Helena Hologram is here, honey. Like I say, I still have people who only want to, in the dating world, people only want to date either Helena, but honey, this is a total package here. You cannot get one without the other. I don't know who told you any different, but honey, she comes along with Derek and Derek comes along with her, honey. So that's not even a court. That's not even open for debate. But I thank you guys for being here again. I thank my wonderful sponsors. Like I said, if any of you want to consider being a sponsor for Hey Bitches Live, sponsorship don't mean, doesn't necessarily mean $5,000 or $6,000. If you can, I'm grateful. But if you can, you may want to sponsor my nails. You might want to sponsor me a wig every month, a different wig every month, or whatever. Sponsor, but I don't wear sunglasses for whatever reason. I get headaches whenever the hell I wear them. Sponsorships are at many different levels. You could be like Gregory. You could be my photographer sponsor. So there's a lot of different ways that you can sponsor. If you want to consider being a sponsor for Hey Bitches Live, we'll do your commercial and we'll post it on the air on shows, and you're blessed because it'll be posted up. Your commercial will be on both shows, Hey Bitches Live and the remix with your boy Derek. What's up? Okay. So I thank you guys again. Thank you so much. You guys are so awesome. You're fabulous. But guess what? We will see you guys on next week because, as you know, I forgot I can actually use my phone. Okay. I'm trying to see because y'all do know that this is. I just want to be correct. Mm, so this is check. Wait a minute. I'm confused here. Y'all don't pay me no mind. I'm looking at this thing wrong. Y'all don't pay me no mind whatsoever. I'm trying to. I like to be correct when I say things. I will need to go through. I just want a regular old damn. Okay. We all way up there. Let me see. Okay. Well, next week is it. Oh, okay. Well, I'm Gregory. I'm gonna do that as soon as I get off here. Um, and we're gonna take care of that. And I done child, and I done made a mistake, cause child, today is the y'all don't pay me no mind. Today is the 21st, so my co-host is not. Okay, my co-host is not supposed to be here until next Monday, which is actually the fourth Monday of the month. So, so guys, I love you guys. Thank you so much. You guys have a wonderful night. Be blessed. If you have Bigo, go check me out over there. Again, I thank my sponsors, Nighthawk Network, Eric Buckner, and most definitely, I'd like to thank the Washington Consulting Group for helping me, allowing me to be me, and knowing that there's space and time for a program such as this. And like I tell you guys all the time, there's nothing. I don't have a gay show. I love you too. Yes, I'm gay, but my show isn't gay because we like to talk about everything. We like to talk about domestic violence. We like to talk about um, elections. Yeah, I'm a gay person, but there's nothing gay about this show. The show is not gay. We talk about child abuse. We talk about dating. We talk about everything that applies to everybody and not just who I am as a gay person. Okay, so you guys, I love you guys. And if you guys missed the show, go back and watch it. It was excellent. I had my fashion guru here today, honey, Miss Sally DeMarco. She laid it down, honey. And the next color trend is going to be gray and yellow. Watch out, honey. And remember, she said black is not the only color, but black is not a color. It's not the only. Any dark color is a slimming color. So it could be a dark maroon, a navy blue, any dark color is slimming, not just black, because technically, black and or white are not colors. Okay, I remember that too. I remember something. So I love you guys. If you get time, you go back and check out the show on YouTube. Helena Hologram, white gown, holding up that crown. Let me see, I did it. Holding up that crown, and check it out. Like and subscribe on my YouTube page. So we want to get it together. I see my baby here, Miss Mimi. Monday I'm gonna get her on here. We're gonna talk about um having her CDLs. I mean, those a beautiful mother, a single, but yeah, but she's a single mom, and we're gonna talk about that single mom to get out there and work every day and do what she needs to do to get it together. So Mimi, I'm gonna give you a call tomorrow because I have to get ready for my Bigo show. But I love you guys. I thank you, thank you, thank you. Hey bitches, we're here every Monday night on 9 o'clock p.m. Y'all don't pay me no mind. I don't know why every time I get ready to close the show out, I can never find the There we go, the outro. Outro. I love you guys. Be safe, and I'm gonna hit you up. I'm Gregory as soon as I get off here. Okay, love you guys. I love you. Be safe, and remember, life is not a Trump rally. Wear your damn mask. Look, I like I say on my other show. I'm here. I've been totally I have Yes, that's my baby right there. Single my girl. I give all props. And at the end of the day, None of us would have been celebrating Father's Day yesterday if it wasn't for a mother. Ooh, let's have that conversation. None of us would have not been celebrating Father's Day yesterday if it was not for a woman. So I mean, I ain't never gonna lay with none of y'all. Boo! But I love a beautiful woman. I love you guys. You guys have a wonderful evening. Remember, if you don't remember this, you don't remember anything else. There's nothing gonna happen tomorrow that God and you cannot handle. So keep your hands in God's hand and keep your mouth out of other people's business.
I'll try.